All right, here you go, Joe Girardi.
Well, I just think that eventually they're going to hit. I mean, I think, I look at numbers from other players that have been through playoffs. They have their struggles, and all of a sudden they can get hot. And I think everything's magnified when you're in the playoffs, and 2 games seems like, forever, where if you struggle 2 games in the season, people don't say much. But, you're on the big stage, and people expect you to perform every day, and it's going to be talked about.
Thanks, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And our next question comes to the line of Christian Redd with the New York Daily News. Please go ahead.
Hey, Joe, how are you doing?
Hi, Christian.
I talked with Larry, I think it was before Game 4, about Dellin, and I'm wondering at this stage in the postseason, are you still comfortable possibly using him? And if so, would it only be in a situation where you had a comfortable lead? Also, Larry was saying that at this stage, you can't leave a pitcher out there if he's going through some struggles because of the magnitude of the games. And I wonder what you think about that comment from Larry.
Well, I think it's true. I think, with the magnitude of the games, you can't allow sometimes a player to work through something where you might let him do it during the course of the season. You might give him a little bit more rope. But, Dellin we're going to use where we see fit. And the game really dictates when you use people. And, you can get in different situations you didn't expect to be in. So I don't narrow my thoughts of when I can use him. Obviously, he struggled the last couple times. But, again, he was really pretty good in the Cleveland series. So, again, we're trying to get him going. But I don't think you can say this is exactly when we're going to use him. I think the game always dictates that.
Thank you.
And our next question comes from the line of Dan Martin with the New York Post. Please go ahead.
Hey, Joe. I'm curious about Luis and the turnaround that he had after that first start. I know you had confidence in him even after the start against Minnesota in the wild card game. But sometimes with pitchers, they get into funks in the postseason, especially when they don't have a lot of experience. What was your level of concern that, not that he wouldn't be able to get out of it, but maybe that it would kind of build on itself, and whether it's people asking him about it or just the pressure of the situation, that it might snowball into him struggling throughout the postseason?
Yeah, I wasn't too concerned because I've seen him do some pretty special things this year, some pretty big matchups that he has really competed in. I think, he had the one with Corey Kluber here, and I think it was late August, where he had a 2-1 lead and then gave up a home run and gave up another run, and I thought he learned from that. I think, when I look at the Minnesota, I think it was emotions, and he was able to hold his emotions in check the next game and then the next game. So I really expect the same thing, that he's able to do that. Now, understanding the magnitude of this game, we will have to watch him closely, but I'm going to go back to last year. I think the struggles that he went through last year has helped him overcome a bad start this year and to move forward and understand what he needs to do and the adjustments that he needs to make.
Thanks, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And our next question comes to the line of Eric Boland with the New York Newsday. Please go ahead.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Eric.
Does it feel any different having a series lead?
Yeah, it does feel different. We've been on, that we have to win today. We can't afford to lose today for a number of games. But I still think the attitude will be the same. Win one game. That is what we've kind of talked about, and that's kind of what we've stuck to around here, and that's what you go try to win a game on Friday night. And again, we know we're facing a great pitcher and we're facing a great opponent. But you got to win one game, and that's what we'll stick to.
And then just to follow up on Severino, was there a point this year, a game or a series of games where you said, "Wow, we've really got something here"?
Yeah, I think it was pretty early on. We saw a bunch of really good starts pretty early on. The year before, he made some decent starts but didn't get any run support, and I think it frustrated him, and then it kind of snowballed for him. But early on, we thought he was pretty dominant, and he was using his changeup and his fastball. He was using up and down in the zone where a lot of times last year he was mostly up, and that's when it was getting hit. So I don't know if there was one game. I think there's been games that he's learned, pitching in some tough games against Boston and Baltimore, teams in our division, Toronto, matching up against Cleveland. I think there's been a number of games that he's learned from, but we saw it pretty early on.
Thank you, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And our next question comes from the line of George King with the New York Post. Please go ahead.
Joe, during the season, we heard a lot about when you had a day off coming up. The day off will be good for us. Would you rather have played today and had a day off while you're playing?
Yeah, I think everyone probably would have rather played today, but, we understand it. We've been on both sides, and I don't necessarily, it's probably good for our bullpen to have a day off because we rely on them heavily. We got 7 great innings out of Tanaka yesterday and used Tommy, but it allows us to probably use Tommy tomorrow if we need him. So the day off will definitely help our bullpen, and I think physically it helps the players, but I think when you're on a roll, you never want to stop playing.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder to register for a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone keypad. And our next question comes from the line of Ken Davidoff with the New York Post. Please go ahead.
Hi, Joe. Just wondering how meaningful is it to be in this position with the same franchise, 8 years later, with a virtually entirely different roster? It's been 3 guys in that 2019.
Yeah, I think it's extremely meaningful. This has been a special year, and it just seems to get better and better as the year has went on. We started off great, and people weren't really expecting that, and then we struggled, and we seemed to find our way out of that funk and play really well down the stretch. And to be able to do what we've done up until this point has been great. The energy at the stadium has been awesome, just really enjoyable. And that's what I find myself taking in the most in these games is the energy at the stadium and just the memories that it brings back for me and just seeing our players go through it and being happy for them. But, yeah, it does take meaning because it has been a long time, really since we've got to this point. You can even go back. We haven't been to the American League Championship in a while. And with a completely new roster, it does mean a lot.
Thanks, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And our next question comes from the line of Brendan Cuddy with NJ.com. Please go ahead.
Hey, Joe.
Good afternoon, Brendan.
Hey, so with Severino, he tells you his shoulder's fine, and the doctors check out the shoulder, say it's fine. But if he starts gesturing and shaking it about, do you kind of act the same way or react the same way you did last time, or do you say, all right, this is kind of what he does now, he's fine, let him go?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit more of that. Probably he's fine now, let him go. His bullpen was really good yesterday. Larry, I talked to Larry, he said his bullpen was really good, it was encouraging. So I probably react a little bit different in this situation.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And our next question comes from the line of Kevin Mayer with News 12 Long Island. Please go ahead.
Hey, Joe, congratulations. This Yankee team has been described as easy to root for, fun to watch. What's it like coaching a Yankee team specifically being described in that way when in years past we've had a lot of the Yankee teams not described in that way?
Yeah, it's really unusual to hear a Yankee team described that way, but for me it's been extremely enjoyable to watch these guys do what they do and the energy that they bring every day, the excitement that they bring every day. I think about there's so many different people and so many different talents that we see. We see power fastballs, we see great curveballs, we see guys that have reinvented themselves. We see rookies that have come up and just played extremely important roles. We see guys hit the ball at the ballpark, in the gap, run. There's just it's really enjoyable for me to watch these guys do their work. So from that standpoint, I know what the people are talking about, and they are easy to root for, probably because they're on my team.
All right, so that's Joe Girardi. Not a lot of earth-shattering stuff there, but that's what you get today. Folks, that's it. Just get ready for tomorrow. Joe will be with me tomorrow in our regular weekly spot tomorrow. He chose to do it. We gave him the option because of his schedule. He will be with me tomorrow before game number 6. John in Breezy Point. What's up, John?